Welcome back to another episode with Illinois Family Podcast. I'm your host, Juice Williams, with my brother slash co-host Cam Buckner. Cam, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, brother. How about yourself?
Could be doing a little better. I could be doing a little better. It's a little salty this weekend. It has everything to do with football.
Everything.
Everything to do with football. Obviously, most people are excited about NFL and all the action yesterday. I couldn't even really appreciate NFL action yesterday because of what happened to our Illini on Saturday. But tough game, man. Heck of a game, obviously, for the folks who actually had a chance to watch it. But really good game. Really excited to see Illinois jump out the way they did. It was a ton of overhang coming out that Maryland game. You can see how those guys were playing, but we'll dive into the depths of that game itself. But heck of a game, man. What do you think about it?
Listen, Juice, I think my initial thoughts were that I was excited for this game. Listen, it couldn't have been scripted better. It was homecoming once again. Coach Bielema versus his former team, the place where he really made his name in Madison, and they came to Champaign. 52, I think, I'm sorry, 55,000 fans in Memorial Stadium, the biggest crowd we've had in 2 years in our stadium. Everything just felt right, man. And I'll tell you a little funny anecdote for me. I didn't make it to Champaign this weekend because my family and I took a trip to Tuscaloosa, Alabama to see my nephew, who is a junior at the University of Alabama. He doesn't play football, but we made our way to the football game to see Bama play Tennessee. And halfway through the game, I left to go try to find some place in Tuscaloosa that would put the U of I game on for me, which was, as we may call it, a dummy mission, right? But shout out to the people at the Avenue Pub in downtown Tuscaloosa, because they obliged me and they put the game on for me. And so I did watch the second half live, man. Listen, I saw some sparks of greatness from our guys. I'm proud of the way they came out early. But it was absolutely a disappointing loss, especially the way the fourth quarter played out.
Yeah, man. Tough game, man. I know we was texting during the game, and I probably felt your energy trying to find a pub. Definitely felt your energy a little bit. So I just started to text you a little bit, but yeah, man, tough game, man. Like we said, man, it's homecoming. It's a lot of connectivity to Illinois and Wisconsin. Obviously, with Coach B, being one of their more celebrated, more successful head coaches at Wisconsin. A lot of tradition that he sort of instilled in that program, and now he's over at the University of Illinois. So obviously there's an instant rival, some instant tension that's there, but in a healthy, fun way. So you can see that, and I'm sure those guys prepared this week, this previous week as such, along with homecoming. It's always some buzz around those guys because folks are back. The energy is there. You see your classmates they're talking about the game. They're excited. So, man, look, I already know some extra bounce, and to see them come out the way they did, not only from just the excitement around the game itself, but that has to be some overhang from the Maryland game last week, where you go and you beat a ranked team in their backyard. I mean, that's the type of swagger you need to walk around with going into the next week against another tough opponent. And to jump out there as early, as fast as they did, as early as they did, I mean, I was feeling good about it. I know the rest of the stadium was feeling good about it. Um, but we also see what a young team can experience, right? Without that experience, right? Not being in a position where they have to close out a game that they pretty much dominated and controlled the entire day. I learned this firsthand as a true freshman, where though our record showed 2-10, but most of the games we lost those games late in the game because me as a young freshman quarterback, I didn't know how to close out. So we see that right now with Luke and some of those DBs back there. Closing out a game is just as important as starting that game. And I think we just saw a great example of what that could look like with some inexperienced talent going down into the fourth quarters of these games.
And you're right about that, Juice. That comes with experience. That comes with being tested. That comes with being in this position under this situation enough times where you start to feel comfortable in that space, right? I think our guys did a great job of once again going up early and finding a way to maintain the energy in the first three quarters of the game. But all of us who have ever played this game, who ever watched this game, know that when we put those fours up on that sideline, that things get real at that point. And what we didn't see is the right amount of energy to finish off the game the way we should have. There were some things that happened that did not go our way in that fourth quarter, and I know we'll talk about those as we talk about some of the individual plays and players that went down. But listen, I think we can build from this. Hopefully, we can learn from this. But we got to get comfortable winning and closing games out.
100%, 100%. So on the good side, I mean, and I'm always going to be able just to, sit and dissect this offense a little bit more in depth, because that's I guess that you can call it my specialty. But I like what I'm seeing out of Luke Altmaier. He is really stepping into his game. He's stepping into his confidence. He's walking, the way he's moving around. He's commanding the huddle a little bit. His energy is where it needs to be. And as he gets more experience, you'll start to see that a little bit more as he gets a bit more comfortable. The performance that he had, I mean, obviously you only throw for 100 yards, but I think that's a very slanted perspective of how this game actually went. Anyone who watched this game, they saw a controlled pass attack where he was very confident throwing strikes. Now, a couple drop passes. It was a couple passes that Pat Bryant hadn't dropped all season. He made a couple oops type plays. But I like what Luke Altmaier is doing from the quarterback position, like I said, in terms of just commanding and leading the huddle. And I like looking for those intangibles because how you approach that huddle tells me everything about your confidence level. That sometimes is the difference between you hit an out route or you throw it in the stands. Because just wearing that confidence a bit more, and you have that that sense of know-how, you just go out there and perform that much better. So Luke is absolutely stepping into his own. And not only did he do a pretty good job in the pass game, Luke showed his athletic ability running the football. I mean, if straight line, I don't know. Luke might be a little bit faster than me if you talk about. If I'm being honest, I mean, Luke was moving a little bit, so
He was.
we got we got a chance to see Luke perform a little bit from an athletic standpoint. And I'm super happy to see him starting to take the progressive steps in terms of being an excellent quarterback, leading his team up and down the field. So definitely some things to build on for sure. But closing out those games, I mean, it's going to be critical for him as he progresses in his career.
I think that's right. And as far as defense is concerned, one thing I will say is that we're beginning to see the offense and the defense do the things that they're good at and starting to click simultaneously, which creates situations where we play complete games like we did last week at Maryland. Um, one of the big things that I saw against Wisconsin this week was that the defense seemed as if they felt comfortable finding ways to force turnovers, finding ways to separate men from the ball, and finding ways to get as close as possible as we could to score on defense. Um, Guys like Xavier Scott, the sophomore defensive back, I saw 3 passes broken up by him, and they were big time, big plays. And for a long time in this season, we've talked about what we have been missing in the defensive backfield with last year's guys who went to the NFL. But Xavier really showed that he has the ability to play at that high level. We had this conversation last week, Juice. We talked about what the keys to this game were going to be, and I said very clearly this was going to be a game that was about third down. I think we saw that in many instances, and I also specifically called out Johnny Newton, right, to say that he had to put his hand in the dirt and let people know that he was going to beat them every single play. And guess what he did, man? He came to play. He was electrifying. He was able to really change the entire complexion of that game, which when he got thrown out the game with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, really hurt us, right? We saw Wisconsin do things that they hadn't been able to do for the entire game, and that last drive really kind of contextualized how much the big number 4 was a huge factor in this game. And so, listen, some of those things we can't get back, some of those things we can't change, but hopefully, once again, we can learn from those things, and the next time we get on the football field in 2 weeks, we can make those adjustments.
No, 100%. I mean, I think there's a lot of football left to be played. Obviously, we put ourselves in a position where every game is a must-win at this point moving forward. The play in the fourth quarter with Johnny Newton, I mean, I think I texted you immediately, when it happened. That is an absolute, shock to the defense because you got an all American defensive tackle who is a presence up front for the defense, and to see that play happen, and he was just playing football, man.
Yeah.
I think I've probably seen you do that, the same style of play. I've seen other guys get back there, and he absolutely destroyed that guard. Like he tore him up, and like all his momentum just, he hit the quarterback. And I'm saying this as a former quarterback, I'm okay with that hit.
Yeah.
But with the new rules and targeting, you can't touch the quarterback in the head. It's so unfortunate to see him, have a dominant play and result to him being ejected for the next, the first half of the next game is going to absolutely hurt the Illinois defense. So very disappointing to see that. But that just speaks to, those guys are starting to wake up and they're really starting to see how effective they can be when they just start to believe in it a little bit and start to win their one-on-one battles, which is exactly what I talked about when we had a chance to go back and speak to the team a bit. So I do have a question, and it's around mindset. Let's go back to that game and let's play hypothetical. We're roughly 8 or 9 minutes in the fourth quarter. We still got the lead. You as a defensive lineman, what are your thought processes when all right, we can start to ice this game if the offense can sustain a couple first downs, right?
Yeah.
But as you just kind of sit on the sideline a little bit and you see the struggle from the offensive group, what is going through your mind? What's the message you're telling your defense as you the leader of the front four?
I think the first thing that you have to convey to your guys is, listen, we have to make this a game where pressure is going to be kind of the coin of the realm. Pressure is going to be what moves us forward, because when you see that your offense may be struggling to score, when you see that that some of the things that we're working in practice are not working here in real time, any DB, any linebacker worth their salt is going to say, well, that means we got to score, right? And none of that can happen if the guys up front don't get the pressure that they've got to get in order to disrupt the entire offense. We know that Illinois held Wisconsin to just 51% completion percentage in this game, which is a pretty big deal for a team like that who's been cutting people up all over the field. But you got to turn into a different animal in that fourth quarter. Once again, like you said, when you have 9 minutes left, 8 minutes left, and you know that the game is going to come down to that. And so I think that the defensive linemen at that point have to turn on to a different gear and say that we are going to make it almost impossible for this quarterback to throw. And when he does throw, it's going to be a low percentage throw across the middle of the field, so that those guys who are playing linebacker and DB have the ability not to just turn the ball over, but to score. That would have been a great way to finish off this game.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the energy that you talk about, that level of aggression to get off the field as a defense, that thing works in reverse for offense. Right, and I learned this later in my career when we played against a ranked Penn State, played against a ranked Wisconsin, obviously beating Ohio State in their backyard. The thing for me is y'all don't touch the ball ever in the fourth quarter, and that was always my mindset. Not realistically, of course, it's 15 minutes, a long time to milk an entire quarter. But my mindset was to give y'all as little opportunity to come back or extend the lead, whatever the scenario is, by me staying on the field and converting third downs. If we can hit you with a big play, we'll take it. We'll take points all day. But for me, whether that's falling forward on tackles, whether that's taking the easy completions, whether that's making sure I don't get sacked or we don't make any silly mistakes in terms of holdings or jumping off sides, our mission, and it goes from us being more of a finesse sort of group to just being gridiron. We gonna punch you in the mouth because we just want to get 3-4 yards every snap, every down, and we sustain those drives. So that is a different type of confidence and approach to the fourth quarter. You gain that with experience. You gain that with knowing to understand what works in terms of play schemes and what works in terms of personnel, what the mismatches are, and you exploit that in the fourth quarter. But that comes with experience. Right. And that comes with Luke really taking control of his team and constantly putting that offense in win-win situations, whether that's him using his legs, whether that's using his brain, getting into the right play, whether that's, getting the ball out quick to his playmakers. He develops that, right, over time as he begins to get more acquainted with with reps and getting tackled and going out and just playing more and more plays. Right, that just happens inadvertently as you start to lead your group. So as we mentioned before, Cam, it's a ton to build on. It's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, any chance we get, any chance or any opportunity we have to, each year to go to a bowl game, let's just be honest. Illinois football, we want to get to a bowl, right? Unlike the Alabamas or Ohio State, where they want to make the playoffs, we're not quite there yet. But for us, we want to make it to a bowl and continuously build on it in the following year. There's still opportunity sitting at 3-5. Obviously, like we talked about, the remaining of the remaining of the schedule, we have Minnesota, Indiana, Iowa, and I think it's at Iowa City. Those pink locker rooms are going to be tough. And then obviously we wrap up the season with Northwestern. So 4 winnable games, but it's going to take that extra little to with the entire team, including the coaching staff. Including the coaching staff, it's going to take that extra effort to get us over the hump and start to close out some of these tight games.
Listen, a football team, especially a college football team, succeeds at the speed of trust. What do I mean by that? If you trust the guys you're playing with, then you're able to kind of let loose a little bit and let things happen. If you trust yourself, if you're Luke or if you're Jerzon or if you're Xavier, then you play with a little bit more confidence. And if the coaching staff trusts their guys and the guys in turn trust their coaching staff, it's not much that a team like this can do. And so the success will be dictated by the speed of trust. And so if we can trust each other, if we can spend some of this time over the next couple of weeks, because we do have a bye week coming up, getting reacquainted with ourselves, figuring out what our identity is as Illinois football, I think we have a very good chance of winning the majority of these must-win games. In fact, I think in the worst-case scenario, we can finish out 6-6 and find our way to one of these bowl games to begin to set the tone that this is a program who will have postseason play every single year. All right, we can do that. We can make that happen, but we have to kind of shake off some of the inequities and the issues that have happened up to this point. I think it's almost perfect juice that we are approaching a bye week now. These guys need a little bit of rest, not just physical rest, but mental rest, right? To kind of recharge and recommit themselves to this program and to what they're trying to do this year. The great part about as many ups and downs that we've had this year already, the great part about this is that the season ain't over. We are not playing just to be playing at this point. We still have the ability to go and win a bowl game. And one of the great things is that no other team in the Big Ten West, minus Wisconsin, who we just took to the edge, has really shown themselves to be the leader still in this space. And so we've got the ability to move forward, and anything can happen with a lot of football left.
No, 100%, man. And I am the biggest opportunist you'll ever meet in life. I mean, Illinois can be 0-6 right now, right? And I'm still thinking bowl berth, right?
Yeah.
So with 4 games left and us having to win 3 of those, there's a ton of opportunities for us to go out and finish off this season and get to a bowl game and start to build on that as a program to obviously get ready for the next season. All right, so super excited about that. Now, speaking of, we talked about a ton of closeout, all right, which is going to lead us to the Juice Box segment. All right, so this is the very first time we actually put a name on this, the Juice Box segment, and these are just random curveballs that I like to just come up with, and it's going to be more so around Illinois football trivia, right? With that, speaking of closeouts, Cam, if you had to go back in Illinois history again, I'm gonna give you a whole roster of thousands and thousands of people to choose from. On both sides of the football, if you can pick a trio, all right, and they don't have to be from the same team or same era for that matter, but if you can pick a trio of players that you want to close out a game on offense and a trio of players on defense, who are those 3 players and tell me why?
Ooh, this is a good one, man. Here's what I'm gonna do. And there's gonna be a theme here, and I hope you of all people catch this. All right, my trio on offense to close out a game would be Isaiah Williams, all right,
I take it.
Rozelle Rocky Harvey,
Okay.
and Howard Griffith.
Okay.
Okay.
I like to tell me more. Why that
Okay.
three?
Listen, I love the way you played under pressure when the heat was on, especially in the fourth quarter. And when the lights were on, you always showed up. Uh, Rocky as well. When the game was down to the last few seconds, Rocky found a way to go to a third or fourth gear that people didn't even know he had. And he always just was as cool as he could be in those spaces. And Howard was just a bruiser, right? He was going to remind you who he was when he came out that backfield, whether you were a D lineman or a linebacker or a DB. You're going to get every inch and every piece of the man that is Howard Griffith, right? And so, it's to me, it's the perfect balance of both finesse and aggressiveness with that three-headed monster that I just named.
All right, so I'm gonna let you pause and think about three on defense, and I'll give you my offense. And this might be opportunity for us to kind of break this up for clip purposes too. So if I had to design a perfect trio on offense to close out a game, all right, and whenever I do this, I hate naming myself, and I won't do it. I just won't. Even though I probably statistically probably would fit pretty good, but I just won't do it. But if I had to name it a trio of Illinois offensive players to close out a game, and we're up a touchdown, and we just need to milk the clock and just close out a game. Here's my three. I'm going with Nathan Shieldhouse. I am going with Brandon Lloyd,
Like it,
and I'm going with Pierre Thomas.
my man.
Pierre Thomas, and here's why. Nate Shieldhouse I think he is the all-time total yard record holder for Illinois in Illinois history. He actually dethroned me by like 25 yards. Super excited to see that. And Nate was able to accomplish that, but not having the strongest arm like myself, or he wasn't the fastest guy, but Nate was smart. He knew when to attack you with his arm. He knew when to use his legs to do it. So I think him dissecting the defense in the fourth quarter, because he doesn't get mentally tired. He's sharp, just like how he is in the first quarter. He ends the game in the fourth quarter just like that mentally. So I want Nate on that team to close out. Brandon Lloyd is that guy. Is the ball is mine, and we saw him do that in college. We saw him do that in the NFL.
Yep.
Right? He has YouTube clips of him just diving all over the place, making one-hand catches, diving out of bounds, getting 2 feet down. So in the event we end up in third and long or in a compromised situation where the ball does have to take flight, B. Lloyd is coming down with it.
That's right.
And he's going to keep the chains moving. He's not going to necessarily hit you over the top for an 80-yard, touchdown. He'll get you 12 yards in the first down and keep moving the sticks and be excited about it. All right. And then lastly, Pierre. I think we all know Pierre the Bruiser. Pierre is probably the best running back in terms of balance that I've ever been around, because he's not the fastest, but he is one of the strongest, most powerful runners I've ever played with, and he understands balance and point of attack, and he knew how to he knew how to make something out of nothing. Because I seen this guy get boxed in the backfield and it should be a loss, but somehow he turned into a 5-yard gain. So closing out a game, I want them three, because we gonna move the chains. We're not gonna hit you big. We're not gonna hit you quick and give you an opportunity to score right back. No, we just gonna demoralize you and keep moving the ball for 8-9 minutes in the fourth quarter.
I like that. Those are three fantastic picks. Obviously, Nate B. Lloyd is just a kind of an institution of his own, and I challenge anybody listening to this to go watch some Pierre Thomas tape, whether it's in the NFL or in Champaign, and count how many times you can see that he actually was only tackled by one person from the front. Doesn't happen. Didn't happen for Peanut. This didn't happen. And he also has the great distinction of probably being the number 1, 2, or 3 greatest NFL player to ever run the screen, somewhere in there with Warwick Dunn and Thurman Thomas. Just a beast.
Got it, man. Love it. All right, real quick, same question on defense, and we just for the sake of time, we ain't gonna dive too deep. But same thing. If you had to put together a trio of defensive players to close out the game, get you off the field, neutralize the offense from scoring, what 3 players and why?
I'm going real quick on this, man. Once again, the GOAT, rest in peace, Dick Butkus. That's my number 1. My number 2, Martez Wilson. And my number 3 is Kelvin Hayden. Now, I hope you caught what I did with all 6 of those folks. Did you catch it?
Yeah, public league.
That's it.
100
Chicago Public League, baby.
100%, no doubt. I got you. Excellent group. I mean, you definitely surprised me with Martez. I mean, chasing down quarterbacks, him being one of the more athletic guys on the field. I know, in Champaign, he clocked like a 4.39 at one point on hand. So super talented. But great trio. I'm still one of your guys. Obviously, Dick Butkus. I think it's enough. Just the name itself, it speaks volumes. So if I need to close out a game, I need to have Dick Butkus out there. I need Simeon Rice, right, who is a nostalgic version of Martez Wilson.
That's right.
And give me Eugene. Give me Eugene Wilson.
Eugene Wilson.
Eugene Wilson in the secondary. Again, Illinois is known for having head knocking safeties, right? We don't always have the best cover safeties, right? But you catch the ball, they're gonna come lay some wood on you. So give me those three to close out the game.
I like
those three to close out the game.
I like it.
Transition, man. Just as we get into the college football as a whole right now, we don't buy this week, so we can kind of shift gears from giving an in-depth scouting report. What are your thoughts about some of this scandal that's going on with Michigan? So people talk about they stealing signs. They got guys allegedly having videos at practices, or people recording the signs on the. What's your thoughts around that?
Listen, the truth of the matter is that sign stealing, if that is a thing, it's not illegal in the NCAA. There are some other things that they claim that they did that are against the rules, but it seems that Michigan has the target on their back. I know Coach Harbaugh had to sit down for two games earlier in the season, so this will be a second suspension. They have suspended now a low-level or mid-level staffer, which to me is interesting because nobody who's mid-level or low-level goes out and puts together an entire sign-stealing program by themselves, right? They were definitely told to do that by somebody else. But at the end of the day, man, this is football, man. You got to play football. And I think that a lot of the powers that be are not interested in seeing Michigan go as far as they can this year. I want to be very clear about this. I'm not a Michigan fan, right? But it's been amazing to watch what they've been able to do this year. I know the people are buzzing now about whether or not they can win a national championship. And I think for folks in Chicago, folks may not be saying it out loud, but I'm going to say what I want to say, Juice. I think there are some people who hope that Michigan wins a national championship so Harbaugh can be the clear favorite for a Chicago Bears coaching job and then go on and possibly draft the young man from USC. But that's just my conspiracy theory. We'll see what happens. But there's a lot of Midwest flavor in that answer.
That's all Midwest, bro, because it's a lot of emotions around these Chicago Bears right now. So, and I'm in group chats, and that's all we talk about, the Bears and how we can kind of fix that roller coaster up there. So totally get that. But I'm with you, man. This is football, right? At the end of the day, whether you see my sign, you see my hand signals, or the poster, everybody got the poster boards now. Look, stop me. Stop it.
That's it.
Right? Look, you can know the play that's coming. You can have an idea of what the play is, but stop it. Yep. I'm not going to sit back and complain and call foul. I mean, now, it's a totally different thing if I got guys at your practice, right? I got guys that's sitting, with binoculars across the street looking at practice. I mean, that's a little different, right? Because now that's trespass, and that's all other type of,
Is it?
Right, is it really? But, I mean, everything else, like, you upset because someone saw your sign and took notes or record, don't show the sign. Or at the end of the day, stop me. Your job is to stop me. We got hours and hours of film.
Yeah.
You have an idea of what we're doing anyway. Yeah. Stop me or stop them.
Juice,
right? I just don't. I don't have pity for that. Like, it's, to me, that's not cheating. Like, it's very. It's outside. I mean, you literally got posters up.
Right.
You got posters. I can see it on TV.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not giving people a break on that.
When I hear people complain about this, I just say, and maybe I'm just a little bit too old school, but I think about if we were still in high school, right? And not to make this about high school, but if we were still in high school and somebody went and told Coach Chambers that, Morgan Park is still in our signs. Man, get out there and play football, man. I don't want to hear that crap, right? Go beat them. Go
Go
beat
play.
them. And you know, we once again we grew up in the Chicago Public League. We had coaches who were specifically charged with just doing that. Steal their signs, steal their cadence, figure out what's going on. If you can't stop me, you can't stop me. That's football.
I mean, 100% right, man. And and again, I don't have all the facts. I mean, I'm not who does around these scandals, but I mean, if it's just purely about folks stealing signs or reading lips or recording certain things on the sideline. I mean, look, I mean, what are we even talking about now? I mean, now it's, to me, it's just kind of almost like we setting up an excuse if just in case. What if we lose this game or something happens, right? We have a way out, right? There's always an excuse. I just don't like that. I'm not a fan of that, man. We already got enough rules in play. Like it's like I'm reading the encyclopedia of rules at this point, because we went from just having a really basic game, go out and be gladiators, and now you can't even look too hard on third down. Like what's going on? So I mean, yeah, I don't like that. Of course, I'm never against the integrity of the game being compromised, but let's play football. Like, forget the signs. Let's go out and play football.
Yeah, no, listen. This is. I just want to reiterate, man, that this is a big week for Illinois to rest and to figure out how we attack the rest of this season. It is not lost. We've got much football left, and hopefully, Juice will be making plans for what we're going to do for bowl season. Hopefully, to go see our guys take on somebody.
Yeah, so I'm feeling really good. I mean, going into this bye week, obviously this is the opportunity for guys to heal up on some injuries, catch their breath a little bit. Even for some of the guys that's a little bit behind on schoolwork, you patch up all the things that need to get done with a few days off in this bye week. Let your body recover and get some additional mental reps and get prepared for these upcoming games. You take this opportunity to really get to know your next opponent. Every day is critical. And this bye week, it extends an opportunity for you to be prepared for Minnesota going into that game. We need 3 out of the next 4 at a minimum, and I think we have every opportunity to do just that. But it's going to take laser focus. It's going to take recovery. It's going to take game plan. It's going to take the entire program really being on the same page and doing what's necessary to go out there and get the victory. So I'm super excited about this. Cam, is always great chatting with you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate your expertise on Illinois defense, or Illinois as a whole. Excited about what we got going on for the next couple of weeks. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. Go Illini.
Oski, wow, wow.